Hello everybody, my name is KirkpattieCake. I am an author and robot, and today, I want to prepare you. Today, we're going to have a difficult discussion. It's about laying that one to bed. But before we get started, I do need to ask you to do a couple of things for me, okay? Number one, I need you to check out the link to LBRY, the writing thing that we do on this channel. Writing thing is the most appropriate way to call it. Check out the prompt, submit your story. I'll be reading them first video of next month. Number two, Dead and Drive audiobook. I don't know when it's coming. Is it being laid to bed? I don't know. It's so sad. I'm not even gonna say number three. Also, again, hello Nick, if you're out there. Sorry, that's inappropriate of me. We're going to talk about a very serious issue, okay? And it's this very serious issue of when should you put a book down? When do you put a book down? You know? Do you ever put a book down and say, I'm not finishing this? We're not talking about your book. We're talking about reading somebody else's work. And in light of the suffering that many of us on this channel have gone through during the loin stream, we've powered through 35 chapters, and we only have a couple more. You know what I'm talking about. We're all a little bit traumatized, but we've made some great friends along the way. Look at you, Vlad, Manaya, Make Games Great Gaming Pro, Cliff, Ryan, some of the quiet peekers, I'm sure. But we've made friends. But if you're not going on a traumatic journey alone, how do you decide when to put a book down? Can you in good conscience put somebody's book down? Because what you're holding, this piece of book, this is somebody's time and labor. And can you put it down? And technically also your labor when you purchase it. That's your blood, sweat, and tears, and you're putting up with customer service in the palm of your hand. Can you justify putting it down and never turning back? I don't know. That's the true question. And how common is it that people will put down your book? And then as authors, we have to deal with the idea that somebody may pick up one of our books and DNF it. Somebody might DNF us. But let's try to be a little understanding here, right? We all, no doubt, at some point in our lives found ourselves at the point where we realized that this book is just not doing it. This book has problems. I can't get through this. It doesn't matter whether it's a novel by an author that we really like, that we know personally, or the book has been talked about by all of our friends, or maybe it's at the top of a bunch of magazines and a bunch of book awards and a bunch of accolades, blue check marks talking about it, non-blue check marks talking about it. It doesn't matter who talks about it. We're struggling to get through it. And them Goodreads numbers, they feel like they lying. It says a 4.5. How is this a 4.5? What the frick? There's often also the question of how do you know when a book is not up to par, not up to what your standards, not up to something that's going to keep you entertained? Is it in the first sentence? Is it the first paragraph? Do you have times, other than what the content of the backer is, like what the story is, but you have times when you're reading the backer where you say, well, the story seems interesting, but I don't think I can read this because of the way that the backer is written. Do you give a book 10 pages? Do you give a book 50 pages? Do you give a book half of the book to entertain you? Do you give up on a book at that 75 mark because you just don't want to see how terrible the final climax is going to be based on how this other stuff went? I wouldn't blame you. Quite honestly, the book that we're doing on the loin stream right now, I just want to know if my favorite character is going to show up one last time. Or if he pieced out, like, at the 60% mark. I can't even hold it against him if he pieced out at 60%, okay? Even he DNF'd this book. Well, according to a new infographic from Goodreads, and by new I mean it was posted in 2013, so bear that in mind, 38.1% of people always finish a book no matter what. However, 15.8% will give it the first 50 pages. About 30% will give 50 to 100 pages before they give up. 7.6% will give 100 pages, and 10.6% will give more than 100 pages before they don't finish. Clearly, about 40% of people will not abandon a book. But have you abandoned a book? I have definitely abandoned a book. One of the books that I will always talk about having abandoned was Clown Tier Junkie, because the writing was disrespectful to the reader. The author just kept giving up in the middle of the stories and was just so disrespectful that he was smashing the keyboard and making no sense in the stories. And I get that it's Bizarro, but even by Bizarro's standards, it felt disrespectful to the readers. And when I posted my review on that, he came in and swore me out and laughed about getting my money. So it does sound like I kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. But that said, I want to pose the question to you guys. What makes you put down a story? What makes a book abandonable and you say, I can't do this anymore? I also did not finish this book. I was going to read it just for you guys to give the feedback on it, but it's just so repetitive and so much exposition and so much character not doing. And the logic in the dystopia doesn't make sense, and I don't even know what page I'm on. Chapter 6. I made it to chapter 6. That is 4 more chapters than I made it the first time I tried to read it. I've abandoned it. I think I'm getting ready to abandon another book right now just because I don't care about the content. According to the Goodreads abandonment survey, tell me if you're surprised by this. The top 5 abandoned classic books are 1. Catch-22, which I have on my shelf I haven't read yet. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, James Joyce's Ulysses, Moby Dick, and then Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, which I can imagine that book is thick. So now, here are the reasons why most people mentioned why they put down the book. Didn't like the main characters was about 5%. Bad editing was maybe 3%. Extremely stupid was about 9%. Weak writing was about 19%. Slow and boring tops this at 46.4%. Slow and boring. I would put that in the exposition category. When something is front-loaded with exposition, it's so hard to get through. Inappropriate and makes me uncomfortable was about 4%. When an author is committed to doing something that I hate was about 3.2%. Any combination of all of the reasons was about 2.5%. Ridiculous or non-existent plot was about 8.5%, and then immoral was about 5%. And immoral was about 0.5%. So clearly, immorality is not a concerning factor for most people. The biggest killers of readership are slow and boring, and it looks like weak writing. Slow and boring and weak writing kind of go together, don't they? Now on the plus side, these readers also told us what keeps them reading. They gotta know what happens next was 25.2%. I judge a book by its ending. This is true. This is often why I don't give any feedback on, or I don't like to give feedback on a book unless I know the ending of the book. I don't like to give feedback until I get to the end of a book, because the ending of the book kind of frames everything that happened in the book, and the ending can change the meaning of everything else that happened or give you a better look or a better picture. So when I'm editing or critiquing people's stuff, if it's a full thing, if it's a novel or a longer work, I don't like to give a whole lot of feedback without seeing that bigger picture. I've committed to the series, so there you go for you series people. If you get them in, you get them in. It's a compulsive habit. As a rule, I like to finish things. That's 36.6%. So everybody, you're pretty lucky that most readers they're starters. If they start stuff, they finish stuff. 7.4% said it's the same with films. I have to watch them to the end, no matter how inane they might be. I've turned off films. That's so not me. 9.3% says come back to it at the right time. Came back to it at the right time. And then 2.3% said I'm usually pleasantly surprised that an author can pull it out in the end. Not a lot of hope in the end there, but a lot of people do wait until the end. So the biggest reason people finish is they have to know what happens next, and as a rule, they like it to finish things. Now, I'm totally on board with the I have to see what happens next, because sometimes something is such a train wreck that I have to see how much more of a train wreck it can possibly freaking be. I feel like that's what we're doing on the Loin stream right now. If this is like 3 months in the future, don't count my discussion of Loin stream to whatever book we're currently reading. This only goes for our first read and what we're reading right now. And if you're interested in that Loin stream, join me over on Minds. We talk about it over there. So, there are lots of reasons why people can put down books. What are yours? What interests you and pulls you toward a book? And then what will make you put it down? Has there been books that you've picked up knowing that you're not going to like and you just wanted to see what was inside and then you put it down? Or do you only pick up books that you think you'll like and then you read it and then you go, let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to know what you started, what drew you to it, and then what made you put it down. And then for anybody who's an author out there, do you ever worry about if people will put down your book? And do you have points where you think it's most likely where somebody would put down your book if they weren't interested in it? What do you think is the ticking point for where somebody might put down your book, if you have any idea whatsoever? Is that something that would bother you? If you're unpublished, are you worried about do not finishes, or are you concerned about do not finished reviews, or are you kind of like me, whatever, it happens because I do it too? Let me know your comments on all of this and more, because I think this is a really interesting subject. We only have so much time in a day, so much time in our lives, so much time to read, and how many of us can actually be bothered to continue reading something that we don't like? Now, I do personally think that there are many benefits to continuing to read something that we don't necessarily want to read, but I also think there is a point when you have to give up on a book that you're carrying around for like 6 months because you're not reading it, and because you're not reading it but you're carrying it around, you're not reading anything. There's kind of a weight of, how do I read this? Can I just finish it, or is it stopping me from reading and educating myself in other ways in which I would like to be read? So there is a firm balance. There's a nice balance to pull between giving up and continuing to read through something that you hate. But I would love to know your thoughts. And or do you have a strict no not finishing policy? And why is that? Because yeah, every single one of these books is somebody's hard labor, not only in the writing, but in the editing and the work to get the cover art. Some not as much work than others. I think we can all agree that those books exist, that the story was first draft, the editing was non-existent, and the cover was just like the quickest paint shop job ever. I think we can all agree those exist. But something even like this, where it looks like there was work put into the cover, there are drawings in here, that's somebody's labor. So do you ever feel bad personally when you can't finish a book, or when you don't like a book, or when you have to leave a bad review on a book? To be fair, I am fairly critical of books. See last Monday's video and upcoming Monday's video for some of that criticalness. Oh my gosh. But it's all such a delicate dance. Well, it's also just something that's for fun. So let me know your comments on the subject, on not finishing a book, on putting a book down, on wanting to keep reading a book, and join us tomorrow for the final launch stream of our current read. If you want to know what that is, when it starts, and get the link to it, because it is an exclusive link, head on over to Minds and follow me at KirkpattieCake. You'll see the link, and I look forward to seeing you there. With all that said and more, have a good weekend, and if I don't see you anytime sooner than Monday, don't die.
Dear Madam Astra,
That's me.
we regret to inform you that on August 1st, your employer, Agatha Jane Benedict, owner of the Benedict estate, peacefully passed away in her sleep.
Oh, that's so sad. Wait. Let me try that again. Ah.
Oh my goodness, that's so sad.
Yeah, I think I'm ready. With millions of dollars on the line and the opportunity for your every need to be taken care of for life, tell me, is there anything more valuable than that? I didn't think so.
Dead End Drive is a dark comedy novel that makes 3 promises. 1, an illustrious estate in Louisiana. 2, an opulent dinner affair for all in attendance. And 3, and most importantly of all, lots and lots of competitive murder. So if you're looking for a cozy book to settle in with for the spooky season, I've only got one question for you. Will I see you at the will reading?
Only losers lose!